Hey, folks, it's your boy, the boss of economics, back with another piping hot, no-holds-barred takedown of the economic dumpster fire that is the modern world. Today, we're diving headfirst into the UK's energy bill crisis, a perfect storm of government incompetence, corporate greed, and economic mismanagement that's got households drowning in debt and the Labour Party tripping over its own shoelaces. Buckle up, because this one's gonna sting. Let's set the scene, shall we? According to a scathing report by the Committee of Public Accounts, a group of lawmakers who, for once, seem to have their eyes open, UK households are now collectively buried under a jaw-dropping £3.7 billion, $4.8 billion, in energy bill debt as of 2024. That's right, folks, £3.7 billion. To put that in perspective, that's more than double the debt recorded in 2021, back when Europe's energy crisis was just a twinkle in Vladimir Putin's eye. And here's the kicker, this is happening while the UK boasts some of the highest electricity prices in the world, according to the International Energy Agency, IEA. World-beating, huh? More like wallet-beating. But wait, there's more. Just when you thought things couldn't get worse, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, Labour's supposed champion of the working class, has decided to roll the dice on welfare reforms that will push 250,000 Britons into relative poverty by 2030. Yes, you heard that right, 250,000 people, thrown under the bus, all in the name of fiscal responsibility. And to top it all off, the energy price cap is set to rise again in April 2025, meaning even higher bills for households already stretched to breaking point. Labour promised to lower costs for families and businesses, but at this rate, the only thing they're lowering is people's faith in government. Folks, this is what happens when you let bureaucrats and bean counters run the show. It's economic malpractice on a scale that would make even the most shameless Wall Street hedge fund manager blush. But don't worry, I'm here to break it all down, point by point, surface to core, because someone's gotta call out this clown show. Let's start with the headline number, £3.7 billion in energy debt. That's not just a statistic, folks, that's a national disgrace. To understand how we got here, we need to rewind to the energy crisis of 2021, when global gas prices spiked, thanks to a toxic cocktail of post-COVID supply chain chaos, geopolitical tensions, and Europe's over-reliance on imported energy. The UK, in particular, was caught with its pants down, having failed to invest in domestic energy production or storage capacity for years. According to the IEA, the UK's gas storage capacity is a measly 9 days' worth of demand, compared to Germany's 89 days or France's 103 days. 9 days. That's like trying to survive a blizzard with a single matchstick. Fast forward to 2024, and the fallout is clear, households are drowning. The average UK energy bill has soared by 54% since 2021, with Ofgem's price cap now sitting at £1,717 per year for a typical dual-fuel household. But here's the real gut punch, low-income families, who spend a higher proportion of their income on energy, are being hit hardest. According to the Joseph Rowntree Foundation, 6 million UK households are now in fuel poverty, meaning they can't afford to heat their homes adequately. And with the price cap set to rise again in April 2025, that number is only going to climb. But hey, don't worry, folks. The government spent £44 billion during the energy crisis to protect consumers. Sounds great, right? Wrong. As the Committee of Public Accounts pointed out, much of that cash was sprayed around like confetti at a wedding, with precious little targeting those who actually needed help. Meanwhile, energy companies raked in record profits. British Gas, for example, saw its profits jump tenfold to £751 million in 2023. So, let me get this straight, households are broke, energy firms are rolling in dough, and the government's response is, crickets. Classic. Now, let's talk about the government's latest brainwave, welfare reforms that will push 250,000 people into poverty by 2030. Chancellor Rachel Reeves, in her infinite wisdom, has decided to slash benefits at a time when inflation is still biting, wages are stagnating, and energy bills are through the roof. According to the Resolution Foundation, real wages in the UK are still below their 2008 levels, yet, we're talking 16 years of economic stagnation. And yet, Labour, the party that's supposed to stand up for the little guy, is tightening the screws on the most vulnerable. Here's the data to back this up, the UK's benefits system is already one of the least generous in Western Europe. According to the OECD, UK unemployment benefits replaced just 34% of previous earnings, compared to 60% in Germany and 68% in France. And now, Reeves wants to cut even further, all while energy prices remain sky-high and food inflation, though cooling, still sits at 4.5% year-on-year, per the Office for National Statistics, ONS. The result? A perfect storm of poverty, debt, and despair. Folks, this isn't just bad policy, it's economic sabotage. When you cut welfare during a cost-of-living crisis, you're not balancing the books, you're breaking the backs of the poorest in society. And here's the irony, Labour's own MPs are threatening to rebel over this, because even they can see it's a disaster waiting to happen. But hey, who needs principles when you've got PR spin, right? Now, let's zoom out to the bigger picture. Why are UK electricity prices the highest in the world, according to the IEA? Spoiler alert, it's not just because of the energy crisis. It's because of years of government mismanagement, corporate profiteering, and a regulatory system that's about as effective as a chocolate teapot. First, there's the issue of energy market structure. The UK's energy market is dominated by a handful of big players, the so-called Big Six, who control 70% of the retail market. These companies have been accused of price gouging, with Ofgem repeatedly fining them for overcharging customers. Just last month, in October 2024, Ofgem slapped a £25 million fine on 3 energy firms for failing to protect vulnerable customers. But fines don't fix the problem, they just paper over the cracks. Second, there's the government's obsession with green energy levies, which are slapped onto electricity bills to fund renewable projects. Now, don't get me wrong, decarbonization is important. But the way the UK does it is bonkers. According to the Committee of Public Accounts, these levies add £153 per year to the average household bill. And here's the kicker, they're applied to electricity, not gas, even though gas is a fossil fuel and electricity is increasingly green. The result? Households are incentivized to use dirty gas instead of clean electricity, all while paying through the nose. The committee's solution? Move the levies onto gas bills. Sounds sensible, but don't hold your breath, governments love easy revenue streams, even if they're economically illiterate. Folks, this is what happens when you let ideology trump economics. The UK's energy policy is a masterclass in how to screw over consumers while pretending to save the planet. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, the government's failure to invest in domestic energy production. While Norway rakes in billions from its North Sea oil and gas, the UK has let its own reserves dwindle, leaving us at the mercy of global markets. Bravo, Westminster, another gold star for incompetence. Finally, let's talk about the watchdogs who are supposed to protect us, the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, DSNZ, and Ofgem. According to the Committee of Public Accounts, these guys are asleep at the wheel. Not only are they failing to ensure energy suppliers provide adequate support to struggling households, but they're also letting the debt crisis spiral out of control. As of 2024, 2.3 million households are on debt repayment plans with their energy suppliers, up 50% from 2021, per Citizens' Advice. And yet, Ofgem's response has been to tinker around the edges, rather than tackle the root causes. Here's a fun fact, Ofgem's budget for consumer protection in 2023 was just £28 million, while the energy companies it regulates raked in £10 billion in profits. Talk about bringing a knife to a gunfight. And DSNZ? They're too busy patting themselves on the back for net zero targets to notice that millions of households can't afford to turn on the lights. Folks, this is regulatory capture at its finest. Ofgem and DSNZ are supposed to be the referees, but they're acting more like cheerleaders for the energy giants. And the result? A debt crisis that's crushing families, a welfare system that's pushing people into poverty, and a government that's more interested in photo ops than solutions. It's economic madness, and we're all paying the price. So, where does this leave us? The UK is staring down the barrel of an economic catastrophe, and the government's response is a masterclass in denial, delusion, and downright stupidity. Households are drowning in £3.7 billion of energy debt, thanks to sky-high prices, corporate greed, and regulatory failure. Welfare cuts are set to push 250,000 people into poverty, all while inflation and stagnation squeeze the life out of the working class. And the energy price cap? It's going up again, because why not kick people when they're down? Folks, this isn't just an energy crisis, it's a crisis of leadership. The government has failed to invest in domestic energy, failed to regulate the market, and failed to protect the most vulnerable. And Labour, the party that's supposed to stand for fairness, is now complicit in this mess. So, here's my advice, don't hold your breath for a bailout. Start demanding answers, start holding these clowns accountable, and start preparing for the worst, because if this is the best they've got, we're in for a long, cold winter. That's all for today, folks. If you liked this video, smash that like button, subscribe, and share it with everyone you know. And remember, in a world of economic chaos, Boss Economics World is here to call it like it is. Until next time, stay sharp, stay skeptical, and stay solvent.